Hello, welcome to School Zone, the show all about your local school districts here in the White Mountains. I'm your guest host from the Show Low School Board, Board Member John Larsen. Today we have Community Services Director from the City of Show Low, Jay Brimhall, here to talk about our local shared resources between the city and the Show Low School District. So Jay, why don't you let us know a few of the things that we share between the city and the district?
Well, I think probably the most obvious thing is you guys have your school district meetings in this room. Well, not this room necessarily, but in this building just a little bit, about 20 yards that way. You have your school district meetings where we have our city council meetings. And that's it's a wonderful space. It's a good place for the public to come and view and talk and hear and listen and learn about what's going on, both with our city council and also with the school board. That's one. That's probably the most obvious one. But there are a lot of other facilities around that we do use, the city utilizes. For example, we just wrapped up a very successful youth basketball season. The recreation gals put that on, and we utilized the Nicholas Homestead Elementary Gym for the older kids play there, and so we're very happy to have that resource. And again, we have the carpet gym right across the street from it that kind of facilitates kind of one area being the epicenter of basketball for our program. So that's another one we really like. And along those same lines, my wife last night had a game at that same gym, so we run our recreation volleyball games there at that same gym. So we don't have a gym inside the city infrastructure to do volleyball, right? Volleyball players generally don't like to play on carpet, so they like to play on that wood floor.
Right.
And so the
Carpet burn.
That's I've seen some pretty wild flips, like the He-Man rolls that the ladies and the guys do on the hardwood. To do that on carpet would be hard, difficult, and might result in some pretty unsavory injuries. So again, that's a huge resource. And again, for those of us who like sports, that's a big thing. I think Snowflake also has a league in volleyball, but again, this is a really good co-ed league, and there aren't many opportunities for that on the mountain. And so to have that IGA with the school to use that gym for a lot of different programs is really a good thing. At the 4th of July, we obviously utilize the field for the Freedom Fest. Actually, one of the things that I was doing today is kind of already on March 21st is getting ready for the Freedom Fest in July.
It'll be here in no time.
It'll be here. I mean, as fast as things tend to go, again, it'll be right around the corner. We won't know what hit us. And that's kind of this area's signature event. And we could not do that if it weren't for the school's cooperation and participation in letting us utilize that facility for that huge regional, I would say, one of the best places. Again, you're not down in the valley. We love our visitors from the valley, but they come up here to recreate during the summertime because, let's face it, the valley in July, not as nice as the valley as Show Low in July, right?
And isn't that in conjunction with a big softball tournament and everything? And it's just, this town's hopping.
Well, really, what we do, we don't have a softball tournament then. We have the softball tournament over Memorial Day.
Over Memorial Day.
And really, that is when the whole big season kicks off. But it kind of culminates on July 4th when we have the Freedom Fest at the what do you call it, the stadium, the football stadium. Yeah. And it's a wonderful venue. If you look at it, again, this is kind of in the weeds, but it's an important thing to note. That's kind of north of town where there aren't as many, big trees, right? Mm-hmm. And it's an area that we can utilize to set off fireworks, and the fireworks display that we have, and again, another partnership to mention with Timber Mesa Fire, and in conjunction with the school. It's just a really good, well-oiled machine working with the school district, working with Timber Mesa, working with Show Low PD, which is part of the city. And it's just a really, really good quality partnership. And I think all of the pieces kind of come together at the 4th of July. and we love having the kids from the school district. Cynthia Whipple's kids come and sing the national anthem. And again, there's just lots and lots and lots of idea sharing and resource sharing, as we're talking about now, during that time of year when we depend on, our tourism folks coming up from the valley to enjoy this beautiful weather we have up here. So again, it's a lot of fun, and we appreciate, utilizing. I'm missing a whole bunch of things. So if you want to ask me other specific questions about
just
things.
some of the things that came to my mind while you were talking. I know our band plays at some of the city functions and celebrations. And I had another thought too, but I know this is kind of weird, but one of the things that maybe we don't realize or we aren't grateful enough for is our kids in some of our sporting events like cross country and track, they actually use the city streets and some of the other facilities that the park and whatnot to actually run to do some of our invitationals and those kind of things. Sure. So you don't think about those kind of things, but in actuality, we're using some of those city resources, and we're grateful for that.
You bet.
I know that our golf team practices and plays on some of the local golf courses around here, whether city owned or not city owned. I know the auditorium. Oh, yeah. We have a lot of functions at the auditorium. Not only just for the school, but for the community at large. I know there was a large celebration recently about the fast that was held. Oh yeah, the community fast. Community fast, so at the auditorium. I know that aside from Nicholas, that there are some other city sports leagues and whatnot use Whipple and Linden, some of the soccer and all that stuff. I know even the soccer fields, both at the high school and over there, the city fields. Frontier fields. Yeah, they're all used in conjunction with each other and for each other. So, we're really grateful for that. And let's not forget Little League. Oh yeah, Little League does a ton. Yeah.
So, a lot of our focus at the city, obviously we want to have sports for all ages. I'm a little bit, this might be a bad thing to say, but I'm a little bit more partial to the young ones. I remember being young, right? Yeah. And I remember having a lot of really good opportunities. So for us in the recreation department and at the city of Show Low, in larger part, we really like to focus on the kids' athletics. And we do work with, is it Chris Ellis? Is Chris the soccer coach? I'm putting you on the spot here.
You are putting me on the spot.
And that's okay.
I don't recognize that name.
We work with the soccer program at the school, and they utilize our fields very often in the summertime and in the fall, just to condition their athletes. And that's something that we don't charge for. We, even the lights and those sorts of things, those are covered in this IGA, this intergovernmental agreement that we have. So when the school district and when sporting events happen, be they practice, tournaments, whatever, at one of our facilities, we don't charge anything. That's kind of just built into the relationship, and we take those costs because we know we get a lot out of the relationship with the school district. And we want to build on it. We don't think it's perfect. We don't think it can't get any better, but we need to see it and appreciate it for what it is. And again, I don't know if we would be as successful of a recreation division in the community services department if it weren't for the partnership that we have with the school district. Yeah. We just want to make it stronger too. So
yeah, I was thinking about our football field. Isn't there a dog show?
There is a dog show
that goes on.
There is
some cancer walks. I seem to remember that we had a
there
cancer
are
walk there.
And that dog show came about because, gosh, it kind of precedes me, so I'm a little bit fuzzy on the details. But they kind of come to me, and they work with me and Kelly, who schedules the fields, and we just make sure that I guess we're kind of the intermediary there that just that mediates. Hey, this is what we need. This is the time we need it, and we can provide this, and we ask you guys to provide this, and the dog people are going to do the rest. So there are certain events, right, that aren't necessarily ours, right, or
not
the
necessarily
cities, right,
yeah.
city sponsored,
Right.
but we kind of make sure that they happen in a contained way, right?
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I think that I can toot our own horn about. We do have a lot of people who have really wonderful ideas that come to us and don't necessarily know how to build the events and put them together and kind of just sequence them so we can connect A to B to C to D to all the resources in the city. Because if there's a walk on the street, we would need to let the police know about it. Our first responders, it's really important. And other, maybe ADOT needs to get involved. Again, we can coordinate that. Maybe the school district needs to be involved. Our group over there is really good about, we've done it a lot, right? Mm-hmm. And so people come to us and we're happy to lend that expertise to, whatever event might need to take place and just say, hey, you need to follow this path. We've got it pretty well worn. And so that's something that we offer that we've worked with the school on too. So, and we've asked the school for support also. Again, just another example of that relationship that we have. So the events portion is very important. Whether or not we're using each other's fields in a formal way. It might just be, hey, we're directing people your direction, and we're giving them the names of those who are the deciders or the people who make the decisions over at the school district. So we have those relationships, and that counts. That's an important
absolutely.
thing.
I also had a thought, and I hope I'm not stretching here, but and I know we pay for this through grants that we apply for, but we have the privilege of having a police officer on our campuses.
Oh yeah.
Both at the junior high and the high school, and then the elementaries as needed. But I think that's an invaluable resource to the community, because when we have children that come in with some issues, we have someone there that can help in certain circumstances.
Absolutely.
Where an officer can be used, and express gratitude for that while maybe you have a thought.
Well, I do. In this day and age, we watch the news. Just yesterday there was another shooting in Maryland, and an SRO officer de-escalated and was able to curtail the event before it got really out of hand. They should never happen, right? It should never escalate to that point. However, when it does, again, because we live in a free nation and people utilize their freedoms in different and strange and sometimes violent ways, it's good to have those resources available so that when if the threat arises, it can be dealt with. Yeah. And I know a lot of our police officers at the city. I don't know them all, but I do get to know some of them, and they're great people, and they train a lot. Yeah. And
when my kids come home and say, Officer so-and-so at school is such a great guy, such a cool guy, cool dude, that relationship is almost invaluable for those kids.
Well, again, that's a wonderful resource for those kids. We sometimes have, not me personally, but that there can be some pretty negative things said about our first responders. Ours in this area, outstanding. Yeah, no doubt. I don't hesitate to say that.
No doubt. As a matter of fact, I think it was last week, maybe the week before, I had the opportunity to come into the city council chambers where we received some training from folks at the city about invaders to possible invaders to city council meetings
and
or
active
school
shooter
board.
trading.
Yeah. Great stuff.
Yeah.
And as a district, we're receiving that training through the city, which is great, and so appreciative of that.
Yep, and we're happy to offer that. That's been a really, really neat addition to our training, because again, we live in a world that's can be a little nuts sometimes, and so we've all got to be prepared. And
Absolutely.
That's a good thing.
Absolutely. I had a thought about wrestling. I'm not into wrestling. I don't have a whole lot of contact there, but I understand that we use your facilities for wrestling practices and whatnot. And our old wrestling room, I guess there's a Taekwondo class being held in there at the high school. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty cool little switcheroo we did, right? Both buildings needed some help, and so we've been able to, with volunteer labor and also a little bit of money from the city, we've been able to turn both of those buildings into highly usable, good places for classes to happen, for wrestling to happen. And as we know, the wrestling program at the high school is
top notch.
Oh man, those guys have it figured out.
Top notch.
So I mean, that's the model to follow.
Yeah,
you know, any coach out there listening, go talk to Tim.
Yeah.
He's got it figured out how to make state champion quality athletes. I mean, we saw Jackson Allen this year win his fourth.
Yeah, and the Kime boy.
Yeah, and Weston. How outstanding is that?
Yeah.
To have state champions among us, and you know, we didn't drive those kids to do their best, right? That came from inside, it came from the coaching staff, came from mom and dad. However, it is neat as you know, just a guy who sits in the office most of the day to say, hey, you know, I might have helped a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I mean, really, the lessons learned in athletics, and I played college ball. My wife played college ball. The lessons, again, you learn this when you're older. The lessons you learn in athletics when you're in high school, when you're in college, but at high school certainly. And if you're that high of a quality of athlete, like you know, like a Jackson or a Weston, you learn lessons that are so invaluable. You know how to work hard, to persist, to grind every day. That is part of it. And to help facilitate that as just an administrator guy. In the city administration is wonderful.
Yeah,
we love it.
As a community, if we all work together, then hopefully we're bringing up our children
Yes.
to be the future leaders, right?
That's right.
Right. You know, another thought I had the privilege of coming to a city council meeting where they had our student council sit next to them, shadow them, and in fact, as the meeting started, the council members actually moved their seat behind and let the kids sit right there at the diocese. It was great. It was. I joked when it came my time to make a comment. I joked that the council suddenly became much better looking.
Yes, I agree with that actually.
But I thought that was great. Such a great opportunity for those kids to have some real world experience.
It is. It's, you know, again, we talk about the world we live in, and you know, sometimes we see some negative things. However, our leaders here, our council members here, they really, honestly, truly, and genuinely respect the kids. They respect the ones that are there, putting in the hard work. You know, I know Mr. Whipple does an outstanding job in the government classes with them, and you know, it does give them a little bit of the real world flavor on how much work goes into governance, even at the local level. And honestly, if you want to make changes at the local level, I mean, that's where you can, you know, it's kind of your own room, right? It's in your own backyard, and they say, hey, if you want to make real change in the world, clean up your own room, and you can have more effect here than you can at the state level, at the federal level. Right. So it's a wonderful opportunity for us, for me, and for all of the staff that's involved in that day. It's called Student Government Day. We have it once every year. It's usually, it had been in May before, but now we're doing it in October, because we were finding that in May the kids were just kind of in, you know, I don't care mode.
Yeah, right? They're in cruise control at that point. They just want to finish up.
That's exactly right. So we're thinking, you know, October might be a little bit better of a date for this thing. And so it's been really good. I think the last couple of years has been more lively, and we've had a lot of really, really good experiences with the kids. But that's another area where there's some overlap, right? I mean, we're not necessarily, they do come to City Hall and they go out with staff and they learn what we do, what Public Works does. I mean, the Public Works guys are working their tails off all day, every day. The Parks guys who report directly to me all the time, just working. But it gives the kids a good vision of what life outside of high school is going to be.
Yeah.
Because we're all working.
Yeah.
We're all working hard. Public works.
When reality hits.
Yeah,
right?
when your eyes are open and you have that diploma in your hand, and you know tomorrow you don't go back to school, you know, by force, kind of, right?
Right.
This is what these guys are doing. You know, they go out with our police officers. We invite Timber Mesa to come over and to just expose these young kids to what their day is like, right? Just a common everyday day.
Yeah.
And the kids usually come away with it, you know, the little bit changed perspective, and that's important when you're a young person.
Absolutely, and those kids who are in those positions in student government are there because they want to be.
Absolutely.
And they want to learn and become better and become leaders. One other thing that I just recently found out about, I didn't realize that our librarians for the city will go to our schools, our elementary schools, and they will actually have a library day with our children, our elementary age kids, and show them how to use the library and what a library is. Do you have any information on that?
Well, actually, the library manager also reports to me.
Oh, nice.
And so I hired this library manager.
Nice.
She's amazing. Just first off, I get to be a little bit braggadocious here. I get to work with her every day, and it's an honor. She's great, and the ideas that her and her staff come up with, it's just like, that's brilliant, but where did that come from, you know? But one of the, you know, kind of the foundational, rudimentary things that they try to accomplish is reading with children, and what better place to do that than in the schools, and to help facilitate programs with the schools to reach the children. And I think the administrators and the teachers know that this is a resource for them. I keep pointing over this way, but right over there is the library.
Yeah.
And
it's important that those kids know that during summer, when their school library is not available to them, the city library is available to them, and everything they need, even if they're taking some summer school classes or having to catch up on classes or whatever, that's all available. And that is amazing and great for them.
If they need to proctor an exam, if they're trying to do, you know, college entrance stuff, this is a good resource here in this building, right across the way here in the library, where they can find the resources they need to further their educations, to do what they need to do to get to the next level. And again, Lisa is an outstanding library manager. She's amazing, and she comes up with great ideas all the time. But again, one of the foundational things that we try to do is get to the kids. And that's, again, reading in my household is really important. And I think it's because of the school system combined with the efforts across the way here with our library. Yeah,
I've noticed with my own children that my better readers did better overall in the schools.
No question.
So that's great. Yeah, Jay, one more thing that I just came to my mind is later this week, tomorrow in fact, I believe it is, we have a joint council meeting with the city council and our school board. And
I'll be there.
That'll be great. I'll be there too. And the reason I bring that up is I just wanted to point out that I really want people to know that we do work together, that we meet face to face, typically once a year, unless otherwise required or needed. But we do meet with the city council. We meet with the people at the city, the directors and those in charge, and we go over things, and we talk about what we can do for you, and we hear from you what you need us to do, vice versa. So I wanted to point that out to people, let people know that.
Thank you.
And again, thanks for being here. Appreciate you taking time out of your day to be here. This is the first time for me. I really enjoyed it. Hope we get to do this again. And please, if you would, take back to the city leadership for us. Let them know that we're so grateful for what they do for us. Extend our appreciation, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Will do. Thanks.
Thanks, man. Thanks for joining us here on School Zone, and we'll see you again next time.